And we're back, or else.
Keith, I think I have an RPI.
A repetitive penis injury?
A repetitive password injury. I'm being subjected to password on a weekly basis.
Well,
and it hurts.
Soon we'll be done.
Hopefully. We just got done finishing.
It's important
recording.
to lie to the people you love.
It's we just got finished recording our Summer Games Fest trailers Palooza 100th episode of the podcast. Yeah. Don't listen to it. I don't know why we do a podcast. We
hates being on the podcast.
I do hate being on the podcast because it sounds like a good idea every time, and then afterward I regret it every single time.
You come in on purpose every time.
I do, and I fall for the same trick.
People are going to hear you excitedly lore about Elden Ring, and you're like, oh shit, he gets it.
I'm going to think about me thinking out loud about Elden Ring is always a cure-all for all of my depression. It fixes me. I'm very excited about the Elden Ring DLC. But as always occurs at the start of every Password episode, it's time for Toaster to shill something that isn't Password.
Okay.
Hey, the Alan Wake 2 DLC, Night Springs, came out yesterday. At the time of recording, June 8th was the day it came out. It is June 9th right now. It was really good. It was 3 hours, 3 short episodes starring 3 characters that are not Alan Wake. It's very good. You should play it. Alan Wake 2 is a very good game, and it's very artistically and creatively driven and very important, and Sam Lake deserves all of the money in the world to make whatever he wants to make forever. And we should invent immortality just for him. So that's my shill for Alan Wake 2 and the Night Springs DLC, which was very cute and fun. And I'm very looking forward to the next DLC, which is called The Lake House, which is about the FBC. I'm very excited about all of Alan Wake 2 just continuing to exist. So reminder, if you want to play a really good game that isn't Password, play Alan Wake 2 because it's really fucking good.
My supervillain origin story will be me stealing Sam Lake's immortality so that I can continue to make low art.
I will deliver upon you destined death. This is not okay. I will chase you to the ends of the earth. Yeah. Anyway, I guess it's time for my weekly mandated password torture. If this gives Sam Lake immortality so he can keep making games, then you know what? It's worth it.
This is just all leading us. This is all just leading to our destruction.
Yes.
A fan drew us as the 2 main characters of Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which was very nice, but also has doomed us.
It has doomed us.
Like, inherently drawing us as those characters, knowing the story of that game, is a potent doom.
It's funny because by this nature, it would be me killing you to make art, but actually I am the one that is being killed for the sake of performance art. So think about that, huh, people? Think about that.
Toaster's being drawn and quartered to read Dave dialogue.
I'm the victim here, is what you should all take from this.
I did get jump scared because I went to the furry visual novel panel at Furality roundtable thing, and all these people, and the entire panel is all these creators that I know, and I've covered every single game that every single one of them has made on that panel. But one of them was wearing, as their VR chat avatar, Dave's dad. Like the official Password Dave's dad VR chat avatar.
That's so weird.
It was quite a jump scare.
Imagine cosplaying a cop at a furry meetup. That's very weird. I don't like that at all.
It's a weird vibe. It's a very, of all the hyenas, including Dave as an option, Dave's dad is a choice. But anyway, I left the lab and headed down the corridor back out into the basement. The others had already moved on, as expected, and had followed their voices upstairs to where they seemed to be gathered.
We're not starting till Dave gets back.
Sorry, I'm here. When I'd seen that everyone had set up in front of the screens on beanbags, mounds of snacks piled around, I jogged on over and dropped into an available seat. I can't get over how those back things that have birds on them just look like those like tourist things you get where you and your lover's names are spelled via drawings. Anyway, no one seems to question where I've been, or what Oswin wanted in favor of watching Haas torment Tyson.
Now that we're ready, it's time to get this underway.
What the fuck are we doing? Bye! We've seen this scene before. Tyson rose out of his chair slowly. I assumed he was going to head off to bed, but instead looked nervous as anything, clearing his throat. I wanted to say something. He had the attention of the table, shooting me a glance before choosing to look anywhere but. So, something happened last night between me and Dave.
Why? I'm sorry. It is incredibly wild to, I'm trying to think of the exact phrasing, but it's like, hello everyone, congratulations to me for having sex. That's what he's doing right now. Why?
You don't have to immediately announce relationship statuses in the most awkward way possible. Like you had a baby. I realized what he was doing and looked across the table to Dean, who had a pleasant smile on his face. Fuck, this can't be this difficult. Just say it, Ty, it's fine. You came inside. So, like, for a long time, I've had these feelings I wasn't able to really express. But Dave's my boyfriend, I guess. You guess? He's my boyfriend. I expected there to be something like a round of applause. Yay! Wee! Good job! Or something of some sort of cheering. But instead, what I noticed was something completely different.
I have a concern.
Huh? What about? Being abusive?
It was wrong of me to stay quiet this long, as I assumed this was just a family thing, and if something had happened, then we might have had some sign.
I object, says Sal. Sal, who has not been in the story. I got to my feet slowly, confused. What's wrong, Sal?
I have a concern that this relationship might be... Well, what I mean to say is...
He rubbed his head, now having all the attention of the table, and the doubt started to creep in.
I kept this from Dean when he explained what happened after last night. I kept it from everyone else, too, not wanting to stir the pot. But do you remember what you tried to take from Dave about 2 weeks ago? His virginity. Do you remember that moment, Tyson?
Yeah, I have it now in my hands. No?
You were outside about to head into the woods when Dave begged you not to go.
Oh, I could feel the color drain from under my fur when I realized what he was talking about. Looking to Tyson, it seemed as though he remembered as well.
But instead, you punched him in the face, and even while on the ground, he didn't let you go.
But that...
He said that he'd do anything to stop you from going out there, presumably to keep you from running into those people in the woods, and you made him put up his virginity as collateral.
The room was silent.
Uh-huh. I thought they all knew this already. Was this a secret? I thought there were multiple people here.
I think it still hasn't been explained what happened that day specifically. I think just everyone already just thinks that Tyson's abusive and shitty, and in every other route, it feels like they're being unforgiving and awful to a person that seems to be more mature than him. But then Tyson's route just assassinates him as a character and makes him worse than ever we could have ever guessed he was. And then you still date him, and now you get called out on day 20 by having the entire thing just aired out. Jesus Christ. Okay. The room was silent. Expressions around the table were a mix between mortified and outraged, with Tyson looking petrified. So, to its credit, this kind of call out is the kind of high drama that should happen. I have no fucking clue how they're gonna handle it.
So naturally, I have some concerns that this,
Relationship.
yes, sorry, relationship. I have concerns that how this came isn't sustainable.
Hold on. Tyson almost flinched as Orlando slammed the table, looking at smoke rising from his nostrils. You did what?
Orlando, please calm down.
Yeah, this is a calm situation. Why are you getting riled, Orlando? About the thing I just said? No. I want to hear it from his mouth what he did. Dave, did he really ask that of you? But nothing happened, I promise. He just literally had me ass up nude on the bed. Like, so a lot happened. I did, yeah. I wanted... If you wanted me to come back inside, I wanted to, He was midway through his sentence as Orlando started marching towards him and in one motion slammed his fist into Tyson's nose, topping him over. Topping him over?
Probably meant to be toppling.
I think so. You literal figurative piece of shit.
You mean figurative?
Shut up, Sal. He looked down at Tyson, still reeling from the blow, and I was frozen in place, a combination of fear and uncertainty making me want to make sure he was okay. A hand on my chest further kept me in place as Orlando talked down at Tyson, but I could feel the heat of his breath even this close. Can't believe I was once scared of you. Orlando, that's enough. Leave him alone. And to think, even after all that Dave loves you, even after all that, Dave loves you enough to be your boyfriend? This has to be some sick joke. Why would the writer do this? I haven't seen Sal move, but he was next to Orlando quick, grabbing him by the horn and forcibly yanking him away, making him trip by quickly kicking his ankle.
That's enough.
Sal, let me at him.
It's their relationship. Let them figure it out.
Sal, you just announced it to everyone. That can't be your policy.
Being like, I object for this big inflammatory reason. Calm down, everyone. Is like, kind of sus.
I can't even call this out as being like, I don't think you can be like, oh, Sal's neurodivergent. This is just a thing he did. I'm like, no, this is actually nonsensical. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I also think
what is his goal in calling us out if not to get a reaction?
I think part of this as well is like, it feels like this scene exists as a reaction to people being like, wow, Dave shouldn't be with Tyson. That's crazy. Why has no one talked about this? And then it's like, all right, let's write a scene where someone talks about this. But I doubt that this will have any actual impact on what's happening. So it's there to placate, not to change the status quo.
It's hard not to worry that it wasn't a planned part of the narrative. Like, almost like it feels like he introduced a thing and then didn't anticipate how big of a deal it was going to be long term. So they just very periodically pay lip service to Dave being like, I don't know, I'm scared of you, I don't know how this is gonna work, even if it's like 2 minutes after he was just talking completely differently about their relationship.
Yeah.
And now he's gonna have other people call him out, but they also can't have it be consequential or go anywhere, probably. So Sal's just acting like an insane person. Like, if he thought this way, then he would have brought it up to Dave privately as a thing that he's concerned about and wouldn't call it out in front of literally everybody.
Yeah.
Like, that's
well, that's
insane.
That's actually an interesting thing, because ultimately in Sal's own route, he was like very private about everything. He's like, I don't want to ruffle feathers. I don't want to cause a scene. Like, we're going to talk about things in private. I'm not going to put you on the spot. Like, that was his characterization. So it's interesting to see him be the rabble rouser here. Yeah,
I don't... It's like, maybe Sal's also a completely different person based on whether or not you're playing his route. And we're not used to the real Sal.
It's their relationship. Let them figure it out. Make sure he's okay, Dave. Why would you say that right after saying no? Why would you say that right after objecting? That doesn't make any sense.
Specifically, Dave, check on him too. Tyson was dazed, but okay, clinging to me. clinging to me, and he was only barely bleeding from his nose. What? Proofread. I helped him and put him back in his chair, but he didn't seem to have anything to say after that.
Orlando, apologize.
You can't make me.
Stop being a child. For what it's worth, I'm sorry for bringing it up here, but it's a legitimate concern, Dave.
I mean, honestly, Orlando's the most reasonable person right now. I don't know. The Tyson route introduced a thing that you can never really walk back.
Yeah.
Effectively, and then they didn't really resolve it for the most part, and they kind of just moved on as if it didn't happen, and then they periodically acknowledge it, and that makes it worse because like it's almost like more forgivable to have forgotten about it than to just keep acknowledging it but not resolving it in any reasonable way. So it's like you just can't like go anywhere with it, and they don't know what to do with it. It just feels, it does sound, you're right, and that sounds like it feels like he's just pressured to talk about it periodically, which is all the more confusing that this is the supposed best route. I made that call because Tyson means more to me than anyone else in the world. I'm sorry, but it's true. At the time, it was as a brother mixed with someone strange other feeling I couldn't place, but I couldn't let him die. You could have said you could have skipped the whole middle part. That was confusing and weird.
I understand.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but what I can say is that nothing happened. We just talked.
You understand why there is some concern about what happened and where you are now, though, yes?
Yeah, I get it.
I'm honestly happy for you, but I don't want a friend being taken advantage of.
I know I'm not the best at relationships, but I do love Tyson. I've raised this with him, but... No buts. I fucked up. I should gut you for what you even thought about doing.
Then you'd want to probably do the same to Dean unless holding a double standard is fine.
What? 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 No. I've had no indication that Dean has ever done what Tyson did. Being sexually attracted to Dave is not the crime here. What? As far as I know, Dean has basically never touched Dave and never acted like this. And he literally just was like, huh, yeah, well, you have my blessing, and moved on. The fuck is Sal talking about? How? Oh my fucking god, Sal's so stupid.
If you're going to judge people just for being sexually interested in Dave, Tyson is hardly the only one.
Grizz, why does this keep happening?
Also, why do you keep just like if
Grizz,
you're gonna say yourself? That's weird because he didn't agree to that. Like,
Grizz, why does this keep happening? This is the same thing I was talking about last session, where like people bring up a point and then you think you know what they mean, and then they explain their point and they have insane logic, and you're like, wait, no, wait, why is that what you mean? Like, Sal is literally the person who spearheaded this entire fucking call out, and then now that he's explaining his logic, it's like, oh wow, you're gonna judge Tyson for the thing that I called him out for? You're gonna judge him? You might as well judge Dean then, because they're both sexually attracted to Dave. That's what I was calling him out for, right? That's what I was saying. And like, literally, like, it's the memento thing. They don't even remember what the conversation was about, and now they just start talking about something else. So like, Sal's basic words don't do at all. Like, it just doesn't. What the fuck? Sal doesn't know what he said 3 lines ago. Dean is a gentleman, or was, or now Orlando's defending Dean, the person that he's mad at because of Watanoki-senpai. Like, they don't remember previous conversations at all. Like, Orlando is not the person to defend Dean. And Sal shouldn't be throwing Dean under the bus because it's his best friend. And also, Dean isn't a rapist. So, like, what the fuck? Why are you comparing them? I'm gonna die. Ugh.
Wasn't Tyson after Dave's dad died? What?
A gentleman? Is that what he means? What is he? Because he definitely doesn't. Dave's dad's death definitely doesn't predate Tyson. We know that. So does he mean he's ever since Dave's dad died, Tyson's been a gentleman? Were you guys even around to know? How would you make this argument? This definitely sounds like a bunch of characters that are being avatars for online arguments and not things that anyone even knows about or would talk about.
Yeah.
Or in particular, we're experiencing that thing that happens in fiction where the person who's right has to lose the argument, so what people say is going to be insane.
Yeah. Again, I apologize for raising this here in such a public space, but it's a legitimate concern. Again, I don't want one of my friends taken advantage of or abused.
Cool. I wouldn't.
Maybe so, but that wasn't so clear at the time, was it?
Writing. Ty was terrified, and I could tell just from how he was shaking. The "and" is weirdly placed. Maybe it was the threat of being hit again, or maybe it was something closer related to me. I don't think he's that afraid of getting hit as Tyson.
I'm going to speak for everyone at the table and say that if you ever, and I mean ever... These people don't know Dave. Why are they so up in arms? I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be up in arms against someone being abused, obviously. Like, it's just the good person thing to do. But to posit this as like, you're hurting our friend Dave, who we all know and are very, very emotionally attached to, is like kind of odd when it's not, when it's not that. I don't know. It's just
Sal's
weird.
just incoherent as a character. He's threatening violence if he ever does anything to Dave, even though he already did something to Dave, and Orlando responded to it with violence, which he was wrong to do. That's the scene?
Yeah.
He put a hand firmly on Tyson's shoulder, gripping tight.
If you ever try to pull something like that again, I'm not holding Orlando back next time, or anyone else that might want to pay you back for hurting their friend. Also, I'm gonna be a cop. I think justice should be dispensed physically as long as there was a warning first.
Yeah, this is not a fun thing to reconcile about him. Also, he didn't hold Orlando back. He beat the shit out of Tyson.
Yeah.
I placed a hand over Sal's and he backed off. My hand replacing his on Tyson's shoulder. Orlando stomped off into the kitchen, maybe to cool off. Sal followed close behind, maybe to cool off. Don't weaken every statement you ever make. If Ty could put his tail between his legs as he sat there, he likely would. Unsure of how the others were feeling, I glanced at those still on the table.
You fucked up bad, big dog.
Not sure I like what I heard. Not sure I like hearing what I did. Any of it, really. But I think Sal made the point well enough for us. I know, it looks bad. It sounds bad. People on Discord keep yelling at me.
It makes sense though, right? Roswell, I swear to God, if you're about to kick the poor guy when he's down, we're gonna have a problem. What?
You just said you fucked up, big dog. Us? What the fuck? You're not comforting him.
Not that, it's just latent homosexuality manifesting in something like that in a fever pitch, especially with how close they've been for years. It makes sense.
Okay.
How
Okay,
many
Jenna.
years?
Okay, Jenna.
Now, yeah, that's extremely Jenna. Like, now you appreciate how close they've been for years,
I
Roswell?
am struggling with Roswell. Your point being?
I'm not making one. I'm just saying I understand how we got here, and I think that ultimately it doesn't involve us. If Dave said nothing happened, then nothing happened.
It's weird to have Roswell say lines that Sal would say in Sal's own route while Sal is being the Roswell of the group right now. It's very weird. None of these characters have distinct voices, and it's hard to tell who's talking or what perspective they were written in.
I'm also just mixed on I'm mixed on the idea of the it doesn't involve us perspective when you're learning that your friend might be sexually abused by someone who's still here, and they might be like falling into a trap is like potentially a thing that, like, I don't know, maybe it doesn't not involve you. Especially while it's happening on a trip you're all having together still. Still a bit worrying that it'd come to that, right? I mean, I'm not gonna say I was exactly wanting it, but if it had saved Tyson's life, I would have gone through with it. See, that's not comforting, Dave. It's an ultimatum that he made up, Dave. It's not like, damn, I sure took a bullet for the president. It sucks that it happened, but I had to get in the way. The bullet is being fired by the president. You can't. What?
Ooh. It's annoying. My doorbell just rang. Give me a moment.
I felt him flinch in his chair as I said it, but he stayed quiet.
I don't envy you needing to make that ethical decision. Be raped or watch a loved one die is quite a decision to be faced with suddenly.
I just don't like how much rape is in the story as a word now. Just constantly. Just at some point, I wonder if when writing this, he was just like, I made this. I put myself here. I introduced the story. I made this the rape route. And the fans love it. Again, Ty flinched, and I almost found myself doing the same from how bluntly Roswell had put it. I'm sorry, I'm hitting waves, just shock waves, such as this one was just the realization of, like, all of this is here, and the feedback that he heard from fans was to rewrite Dean's route. What happened? What's in Dean's route? What fans? What are these people like? What? I don't understand.
Yeah.
That they specifically and resonantly and loudly, the feedback was that Dean's route needed to be fixed. I don't. I can't comprehend. I don't even know what Dean's route is, but I don't believe them.
Yeah.
Again, Ty flinched, and I almost found myself doing the same from how bluntly Roswell had put it.
Yeah, it's not great.
Uh-huh. Well, I should go check on Sal in Orlando. Or someone should anyway.
Roswell and I will go along with you.
But I don't want to go.
I have other things I want to do. That's already three doing damage control.
Everyone's already bored of the topic of Dave's assault, and they're gonna go back to talking about, like, so I'm gonna go watch anime now and stuff like that. And then this entire plot line will be promptly dropped as the murderers arrive, and that becomes the plot. Honestly, that's the only way to escape this topic, is to have the murderers arrive. Like, the bear needs to walk in and then get not get shot by Benson, since it's just been confirmed that already they won't.
Yeah, well, what could be more important than making sure your friend is not about to burn the house down?
Foreshadowing. Roswell stiffened, eyes going wide briefly.
Right, of course. Let's go.
He got up quickly and rushed over to the kitchen without another word. Haas, meanwhile, seemed confused at a sudden change of attitude, but shrugged it off. Oh, it was genuine foreshadowing, because he probably has seen visions of the house burned down before.
Yep. You two have a good night.
That's a wild thing to say at this point.
Yep.
The story was never prepared for juggling this tone.
Nope.
Dean and Haas followed Roswell soon after, and I heard Orlando groan loudly from the other room the moment they walked through the door. Quietly, I took Ty by the hand and he let me help him up. Wordlessly, we wandered away from the dining room and headed upstairs. I wasn't sure whose room to go to at first, but I settled on his being the first one I came across. I closed the door behind us and rubbed my thumb over the back of Tyson's hand. Did we talk about what just happened? He shrugged, slipping his hand from my grip. I just wanted to let people know that we're, boyfriends? Yeah. Sal having been there when, well, can we not bring that up? Is there anything I can do to say or do to help? Dude, I don't know. I love you. I love you too. That help? He shrugged, scratching his neck. You know what's kind of fucked? No. Dave has no thoughts. That I considered just letting you take it out on me. Do what I was going to do to you, but to me or whatever.
Is this the Dean Bottom or the Tyson Bottom scene?
I don't have to make any of this.
I hate all of it. It's all bad. We should not have to play this.
I don't think that'd help all that much. Plus, I don't think I'd feel right doing that. I could see how flat Tyson had his tail against his rear, not liking the idea of that all that much. Not liking the idea all that much either. You think if I just said something sooner, things would be less fucked?
Yeah.
I think if you'd said something sooner, we'd both be more fucked.
What?
I chuckled, nudging him playfully to try to get a reaction.
It's a joke because right now is the time to do that.
Uh-huh. Because, I know. Because we'd be having sex already. He said he knows Dave. Dave, I get it. Oh, good. But you're right. If I just said something sooner, then we'd probably have had a bit more fun, too. Is that so bad? No point thinking about it. Was too chicken to say anything before. If you go back and change that, would you? What do you mean? Things worked out, right? So if we could start all this sooner, yeah, just hammer in his regret at coming out or processing his feelings when he did, Dave. I love thinking about how my life would be different if I came out 10 years earlier. It's fun. Good luck getting that one out of me. What if I told you that I loved you? You just said that. Did you
literally
forget?
just did that 2 seconds ago, Dave. Come on, man.
Did you forget?
He did.
Yeah, like that worked well last time. Probably would just push you away. Oh, he meant telling him he loved him in the past. Which he probably technically did the other way. Look, I don't know what we're meant to do. You're not going to say we should call it off, are you?
I can't believe we're having this discussion. Like, I can't believe...
The ludonarrative discussion of, like, the writer, don't know how to move on from this topic.
Yes.
Basically.
exactly
Almost
what I was
like there
thinking.
was never a plan on how to follow up or resolve this bombshell of a plot point. And so... Whoops. Fuck no. You're mine. Okay. That should probably also change. You're mine too, but you shouldn't say it so possessively? I don't get it. Well, so there's this thing called the Leo route.
I just don't like it. I just don't like this game.
No. What I mean is, like, I don't want you thinking I belong to you. Chula. His confusion didn't seem to leave his face, and I took him by the hand towards the bed. Like, what would you say if I just said to people that you belong to me? I don't see a problem with it. Really? We're in this together, right? You're my boyfriend. I'm your boyfriend. That's all I'm saying. I guess so long as that's all you mean by it, it's fine. You think I was gonna collar you or something? If either of us is going to be wearing a collar, it'd be you. He sat down and I followed suit to sit next to him. A whole day earlier, we were just like this, having a serious conversation, and then he kissed me. A moment that changed what we were to each other. Was it only yesterday? I don't regret what happened. I don't regret where we are now. I don't regret loving you either. I just wish I'd told you sooner. All that matters is that we got there. It was bumpy, but we got there. Orlando was pissed. That's unrelated to that. That's the other thing. He was. Probably gonna be awkward around the group for the next bit, huh? Well, great news. You guys barely know each other and you're all planning on splitting off anyway, so soon you'll never see each other again, probably. Only if you make it awkward. What? No, Dave, that's not correct at all.
I hate these characters.
Yeah.
I have never hated characters more than I hate these characters.
Yep. We're a team now. Beyond just the scavenger hunt, I mean. We're butt buddies.
Don't talk. Stop talking. I don't want to hear this from you. Don't even start. Just no.
My entire formula is just to antagonize you and Bert and Andrew. That's just what that's the friendships I have.
Why do I agree to this chat? What are we doing?
I don't know.
What's going on?
I don't really deserve you. Let's say this more times. I nudge him in the side and put an arm around my shoulder. He puts an arm around my shoulder. Just keep a low profile and I'm sure things will be fine. Although, if you do anything that I'm obligated to tell at least Dean after yesterday. What an insane sentence. But
yes.
Don't go raping me, because I'll have to tell Dean. He's gonna have to know. What the fuck?
Fun fact. This is stupid.
Why are you framing it like it's still on the table and you'll have to tell on him if it happens, and not like it's a horrible traumatic thing that would for it to even be a considerable, like, what? It's also just like a brutal arc for him. Like the entire thing was supposed to be all about Tyson coming out of his shell and learning to process his emotions and interact with people and making friends. Like that was the defining arc, and It's completely undone by the fact that he decided to go back and forefront the assault again, and now that's the ending of his story. Is the assault completely taking over the entire narrative, and now it's like, oh, you should keep a low profile is the advice to Tyson now. Like, yeah, it's, why would you write these two things in one character? It's insane. It's also just so deeply uncomfortable. It's just like, right. So hopefully that helped a little.
Did it really, Tyson? Did that really help?
I don't see how any of this helped anyone. And so much of this is narratively about consoling the person who did the predatory thing. It's all like very like 13 Reasons Why season 2 shit, where they weirdly like start like rehabilitating Bryce and trying to make you feel bad for him. You're like, what the fuck? No, he's the villain of the show. What are you doing? I put a hand on his leg, figuring I could be daring enough to slide it towards his crotch, but that's what you're thinking about right now. But he stopped me carefully.
I don't think Grizz understands like the thing he wrote. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like he's just echoing the conversation that surrounded it at some point. Maybe he feels like he's supposed to say something about it, but he doesn't know how to process it and doesn't know how to like escape this scene or how to juggle these characters, and so it just feels bizarre. Sorry, I'm not really feeling it. Oh, that's fine. I just thought it might make you feel better. Another time, and yeah, it probably would, but knowing that what went down happened because of exactly this, it's like, it's It's guilt, I guess. Yeah, it's like guilt or whatever. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. He got up and wandered over to the bathroom quietly, closing the door behind him without another word. Soon I heard the water running, and it was clear that he was just taking a shower, much in the same way I did when I needed to unwind and process things. For a moment I considered joining him, but I felt maybe being naked around each other right now wasn't going to help. Shower's yours. Feeling any better after a shower? All I got was a shrug before he settled into bed, flat on his back. Ty? Turning slowly to look at me, grimacing. What's up?
Nothing. I am cringing. It's all that's happening is I'm just cringing. That's it. It's not a big deal.
I love you. I crawled over and draped myself over him, nestling into the spot under his chin. In turn, he placed an arm around me and started playing with my fur.
I'm sorry, I just have to speak.
You ever think about getting married?
I have to speak, and I have to say, I just truly have to fucking say that I have had better terrible hookups than this relationship. That's all. I can't with this.
The characters were more believable in that story where someone bit your nipple off.
I'm stressed out. That's all I'm saying is I'm stressed out by this.
For that story, go back to our podcast. You'll know, you can tell which one. Just check the playlist. You'll see. You'll know which one. It's aptly titled.
I just can't stand. I can't stand. It hurts. It hurts, Nests.
You ever think about getting married? I can't say it in his voice. I can't say it straight.
It's just...
Now's not the time, Tyson.
Now's not the time. Also, how the fuck?
How do you reach this line in tonight's context?
Fully.
I don't... Huh? Just wondering. I don't know. Maybe a couple times. Something for like much later. Alright, sure. Is that what's bothering you right now? Getting married? It better not be, but knowing my luck, he'll immediately say yes. Just thinking about the collar thing, and I guess the belonging to each other too. Maybe just basically just what getting married is, right? I suppose so? Two dogs exchange collars in this universe. So like, what if I did wear a collar for you? I think that's not needed. We're not married either, so like, I don't think I understand. Right.
This conversation is giving me the absolute worst, like, secondhand embarrassment I've ever felt in my literal entire life. Oh, it's bad. Okay. Yeah.
Did you want to wear a collar for me? Look, it was just an idea, all right?
Get it? It's like a kinky sex thing.
I can't tell if it's a kinky sex thing or if it's just like rings but for dogs in the setting.
I don't want to interrogate that.
I just don't know what it means. I just like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally right on my blue sky right now, there's somebody using collars as a kinky thing. It's the artist Berserk, and he's shipping Bill and Legoshi, and if Legoshi wears the collar, Bill is allowed to drop all his filters and use him, and if you're not wearing the collar, then they'd be normal people. And that's a boundaries thing and a clear dynamic that they agree on, and I understand that when I read that. Immediately I'm like, okay, I get what this Bill Legoshi AU ship setting is and what their dynamic is that this artist presented in one sentence. I don't know what the fuck Dave and Tyson mean by collars at all. I have no idea.
I have no fucking clue.
Look, he pried me off him and I sat up, looking over to a pile of his clothes on the floor. I made you something. Left it in one of my pockets. What is it? He shrugged, and I wandered over to the pile of clothes he was still staring at, starting to rummage through them. You're making him do it? Sure enough, a pair of his shorts had a pocket bulging, and I reached in to pull what was in it out. What's this? You're the one that makes shit, figured I'd give it a go. What was in my hand looked like a string with things woven through it, or tied along its length. It's very nice? Yeah, well, it's a piece of shit is what it is, but I made it for you, so... I brought it back over to the bed and sat down next to Ty, looking at it. Is it, it was meant to be a fucking friendship bracelet. Picked up shit from around the house to make it, too.
What?
Well, do you want some help making it less disappointing? Dave! You said that out loud!
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks, Keith.
Dave!
It sucks. It sucks. It hurts, dog.
Not even bothering with it. No, it's great!
It's just one of those things.
Nah, it's fine. I'll just give it another go some other time. Just look forward to something, yeah? As long as it's not a collar, we should be fine. You're really negging him over the collar comment, Dave. Just non-stop. Fine. No collars until we're back home. Shaking my head, I wandered over to the light switch and undressed to join Ty in bed. That's not... You forgot the verb where you turn the light off. That's just a strange way of saying that. Let's get some sleep. I think we could both use a good cuddle. The moment I was under the covers, he held me close, chest to chest. He nestled in under my chin this time, sighing as he drifted off in my arms. I spent the next little bit listening to the shifting of the house, waiting for sleep time find me as I thought about what had happened. Was what Tyson done at dinner? These sentences aren't they're spell checked. They're not reread. Like, what? Was what Tyson done at dinner brave or just dumb? Given we had no way of knowing Sao had overheard things, it was probably neither. What? No, the results are not... his choice and the results that are unrelated to his choice are not indicative of whether or not his choice was brave. Dave, that's not what words mean. It's probably neither, and him just wanting to show me off. No? What? Dave, do you not understand that it was a moment for Tyson where he specifically, like, struggles to, like, express himself and embrace being gay in front of other people, and, like, him declaring that's supposed to be a big deal for his character? Because if Dave doesn't understand it, it makes me worry that that wasn't even intentional. Dave's such a bad person to be in a relationship with. His monologue is so damning. The thought made me smile. That he was proud to have me with him in this way, and cuddling up close to him, I fell asleep to thoughts of my boyfriend. Another day defeated. And even a little bit of fast forward. Oh, it's the vision. The vision where Tyson's presence is unchanging in both versions. I had my arms around Tyson, who was still asleep, but unlike how we fell asleep, I found myself to be the big spoon in how we were cuddling. Not that I minded, but I was a little worried about moving so quickly lest I wake him up. It's alright, I'm awake. I wasn't sure that I'd heard him at first, but when he yawned and shifted, I lifted my arms so that he could move. Couldn't sleep? More like slept enough. I'm mostly just hungry now, I think. I couldn't sleep? Didn't you hear him wake up? Isn't that the basis of you recognizing that... What? Sure. What about you? If I'm being honest, I'm still bushed. Plus, after last night, I don't know. I kind of just want to hang out here for a bit. You're skipping breakfast? No, just trying to lay low, that's all. You want me to bring you anything? Coffee? Breakfast? You're skipping breakfast? No. Want to bring you anything? Breakfast? Just why try starting to list things if you're just gonna say breakfast? Nah, it's fine. I'm just gonna nap a little more and then I'll get up. I leaned forward and kissed him on the side of his muzzle, and while he was still processing what I'd done, I sat up to stretch. A strange dynamic is that people talk about breakfast like it's a thing that they've missed in this setting, like as if it's like, ah, damn it, breakfast is over at the hotel. But like, the level of breakfast they're mostly engaging in is like, I made a pancake. Like, so everyone can just also use the kitchen whenever they happen to wake up. Like, my real life existence. As a bunch of housemates that don't ever have sleep schedules that match. I leaned forward and kissed him on the side of his muzzle, and while he was still processing what I'd done, I sat up to stretch. If you're gonna hang here, I'm gonna get food and then look into something. Join me later, yeah? You're not gonna go find trouble, are you? No? Good. In the death game story? I looked from Roswell to Tyson, who seemed to be sharing a look with one another. Was he giving him an out after what happened at dinner? Either way, Ty kept quiet, and Ty kept quiet and his head down soon after. Uh-huh. That's a sentence. Oops. That. Accidentally got stuck here. Plus whatever Benson and Oswin have in mind. You think so? It's their house after all. Maybe they have a hidden store of food or some other idea of what we could be doing. This is just a fucking logistics conversation.
Yeah, just a logistics convo.
It's just one they have to acknowledge. They have to acknowledge that Oswin's alive.
Remember the favor I asked Oswin yesterday?
Oh, right. But why'd you ask that anyway? I thought you said we had some breathing room.
If you let me go do what I need to, then yeah. It hinges on Benson not firing his gun.
Who do you even shoot?
You'll find out soon enough.
Yep. Nope. I wandered back upstairs and looked around the foyer. No signs of Benson yet, but with Thanatos tracking him down, I guess I didn't have to worry. I just left Oswin. We didn't see him at breakfast, so unless he was in his lab, the places he could be were very limited. Maybe one of the others had seen him. Sure. Let's go to the museum group where they failed to get a sword out of this thing. See, it's just Sal's still acknowledging the thing that he should stop bringing up. Maybe he screws up that bad again, he's on his own. Should have raised it more privately. Yeah,
so when we saw this scene in the past, they just didn't have this conversation about like, hey, we acknowledged.
Yeah.
But now it's just them saying, hey, we acknowledge.
This is where they awkwardly get the sword. Oh. Alright, Mike Ehrmantraut has entered the narrative.
Yeah.
You were after Hammond, yes? If you wait here, I shall go fetch the master of the house.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this part. They're here, I guess.
Yep. He had the flat affect.
Suits me fine.
Benson shot Roswell a look, then the same to Haas before making to leave.
I'm gonna be 100% real. Don't remember how I voiced this character. Feel like I grumbled a lot at him. Just gonna do that. That's his voice now.
It's like a grumbling low, like grumbling matter of fact, like straight to the point, flat affect character.
I shall not be long.
These two characters are hard to go back and forth with. Made up tight, isn't he? Hasn't changed much, has he, Hoss? Yeah, well, things have been rough lately. Whatever that means. I'm guessing I know why.
What would your guess be?
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave, for participating.
What could you mean by that? It's crazy.
Figured that's because of Jack.
The murderer. Right. The name made me shudder briefly and shake my head. Thanatos took his chance to drop down onto the table and cocked his head towards the chair that I should fall into.
Yeah, that's one thing. Although, why do you know that? Jack and I.
He trailed off, and the room was quiet. I looked around, wondering if something was happening or someone was going to interrupt, but it never happened. Interrupt nothing? What? No one's saying anything? You and Jack?
We're work buddies.
Work buddies, right.
What do you want me to say?
Oh, you've said plenty. What I want to know is why my dad sent you to come talk.
Because your dad is trying to put pressure on this place, obviously, and they're his fixers. Are you genuinely dumb, Orlando?
Yes, confirmed.
That's between me and Hammond.
Speaking of, here I am.
Good to see you.
Oswin grunted, not bothering to sit down and just looking Dom over, raising his eyebrows. What do you want?
Come to cut a deal.
About?
The boss wants what you have and isn't fussed if he has to come in and take it.
I told him he can't have it.
I'm telling you he's gonna take it anyway. Your call.
This is sounding less like a deal and more like a threat. May as well be. He came armed and everything. Yes, so threats are.
Look, if you want to stick around, then great. None of us mind getting our hands dirty. But if we don't have to, then we'd rather the easier job.
So the deal you're offering us is to stand back and keep our lives while he comes charging in and takes whatever he wants. A deal that most people here would gladly take?
Pretty much.
But paradoxically, it somehow won't be an option. Hold on, how could you even convince him to come and talk without him just charging in?
Easy enough. You all clearing out means we don't have to make the bodies disappear. Easier job.
You can't be serious.
You tell me, he's your dad.
Orlando went to reply, but cut himself off, eyes still wide and seemingly unable to refute anything just said. That's all we need to do? That's all we need to do? Just stay out of the way? Tell Memphis that we decline the deal.
What?
No deal. But we just got handed an out. We can all survive if we just stay out of the way. Do you believe Memphis is one to keep his word?
So you're just gonna piss him off instead?
I'd rather die standing than have him chase us down anyway once he's realized what he's after is something that doesn't exist. But you're dooming us all by making that decision. Let me see if I understand the situation completely. Perhaps I've made a mistake somewhere in my assumption.
It's not hard. You have a machine or something in the basement. The boss wants it.
And he has told you what exactly it is.
Time machine.
And if I told you it wasn't?
You think that's gonna matter to the boss? He already decided that's what it is.
So you understand.
You see,
that
Oswin, he's stupid. he's stupid. Sorry.
He's an idiot, Your Honor.
Yeah, exactly. This
is an actual idiot plot. The narrative's resolution is ultimately just a climax caused by an idiot that doesn't know what's happening.
I just keep forgetting that this guy just makes no sense. And it's like, no, villains don't need to make sense. They're not all logical machines. But this is literally a plot that is driven by someone who's like,
yeah,
well, I am just causing conflict. Which
the
maybe in the hands of a better writer.
Not even morally, just factually wrong about everything.
I mean, maybe there could be interesting storytelling to interrogate there if written by someone more competent, but it's just weird in this context. Just very weird.
I don't... So you understand that whatever I give him isn't going to be what he's after, and he's going to go on a tirade regardless. So, we're stuck. No matter what we do, he's going to come looking for something that doesn't exist, then hunt us down.
It's just...
to make us give him it or kill us when we don't?
Here's my issue.
You say it's like he has a census of exactly who's here.
Yeah. So here's the issue,
Oswin.
though, with all of this, which is like... Grizz wanted to construct a locked room mystery, didn't lock the room, and is now working backwards to find a way to say, like, well, if you look at it this way, the room actually was locked the whole time. You see, we have this villain here who's going to cause a problem, and that's how the world is locked. It's not the door that's locked, it's the whole mountain, because this guy's bad. But that doesn't work if it's just like, he's unhinged and he just will kill us no matter what we do. There's just no actual rules here. He's just gonna kill us.
It's also not a locked room. It's just a room that they believe they're locked in. They're like everyone in the story is the people of the village.
Yes.
They don't realize they can just go. They're in a prison of fake monsters, and they can just go climb that hill. They could just go. They literally just leave on the road in the good end, in the other ending.
Well, one of the things I'll say about this, and this isn't really a defense of the village, but like using the village as an example, that's still constructing some sense of a locked room, because it's saying, okay, people are locked by their religious beliefs, which give them dogma and can be used to mislead people. Like in the idea,
the village was better art.
Yes, and by like making it
my
so
point
that
is just that it was made up.
Yes, it was made up. Yes, but the thing here is, it's not doing that. They can literally just get off the island, and Grizz is constantly backpedaling, trying to be like, well, actually, here's 150 other reasons why they can't get off the island. But it really just undermines itself at every angle, because you really could, like, the conflict doesn't change if you say, like, actually, the mansion is locked, the gate got closed and it's too high to scale, and
it's just 100 wet band-aids that are too moist to stick, because they were all trying to cover the original mistake, which is the fact that there just wasn't actually a premise set in place from the beginning that would actually make this work.
And it's just
a premise that we instinctively expected, because reflexively, because it's so obvious. Yes, but it just was never introduced.
I mean, and it's insane because, again, imagine the most basic locked room mystery. You're in a room, someone dies, the door is locked, the killer must be inside. And you can do iterations on that to be like, okay, you're in a cave. There's no door to lock in a cave. How do you create a locked door in a cave? There's like a mine collapse and you're stuck in the cave. And you have to find a new way out, and there's a killer in with you, and that creates a layer of intrigue. The issue here is that they're in a locked room, the room is locked, but actually the door is not locked. So the ceiling collapses and locks them in. It's just like the cave. Now we've constructed a new false door. But just kidding, we actually cleared out the rubble so they can go out into the hallway. This is a new fold to that, but actually the other door at the end of the hallway is locked. What are they going to do? Just kidding, they had the key. So now the outside gate to the mansion is locked. It's expanding and deep. But really all Grizz is doing is just opening the door and then closing the door again, structurally speaking. Like from a structural level, he's still just trying to make the locked room mystery, and he's just overcomplicating it to the same end result every single time, but then constantly undermines that by introducing new means with which to try and relock the door that has already been opened on a narrative writing level. So it's like, you could have just stopped at the first door and locked that door and not had to do all of that, and the story would be the same. And it might even be better for it because you wouldn't be introducing, it's like getting caught in a lie that you have to like keep perpetuating and keep creating complex like justifications for that make it more obvious that you're like constantly working backwards from the thing that's there. It just doesn't. It does
have the really weird element, yes, of being a fictional story that so strangely does feel like a lie.
Yeah. It's very odd. I don't like it.
And Memphis just doesn't function as a villain for a
No,
mystery,
he doesn't.
a murder mystery setup. And the
He
fact
also
that
just
the fact that people
doesn't
thought that this
function.
it's really funny that people were reacting to this game like when it was 10 days long as being this really fascinating murder mystery, when really they had no answers. They just had they just had the examples of how every love interest dies, and then you undie them, and that's it. And get no answers. Then it goes on for twice as long with basically no more murder mystery stuff, and then at the end it's like, I don't know, man, there's a dragon showing up. He thinks it's a time machine, but it's not a time machine, and he's evil, and he's unreasonable, and he's gonna kill everybody. And that's like the capstone to your murder mystery after all this time. Like, it's like, doesn't even feel like it's from the same game, let alone the idea of trying to like backfill it as being like in any way related to the mysteries that were proposed in the first place. Like, it feels insulting to even try to unpack, which, like, oh man, I guess maybe Jack stabbed Tyson, I guess. I don't know. Fuck it. Does it matter which of like the three main, I guess you can call them suspects, because they're just the bad guys, might have been responsible for each murder or not? It's like, it's deeply uninteresting.
Yeah.
The question was answered with resigned silence. My friend's at a loss for words. Oswin staring at Dom, trying to figure something out, and Dom just sitting there as if he just asked us what the weather was like.
How long do we have?
Until
He comes knocking, presumably.
Basically, yes. Hours, days.
he was out, I'm paying a visit tomorrow. If I came back with bad news, could maybe get you a day or two.
But why?
I'm not hurting for food or shelter. Taking it easy another day or two suits me fine if it means an easier job. I have one character trait. I like to say things are easy and then do the easy thing. I'm lazy. That's my one character trait, my one motivating factor in life.
Every character in this game has an unspoken agreement to prolong the narrative. He's like, I will just hang out for 48 hours doing nothing. We, the unreasonable murder squad.
I'm gonna say something very cruel, and I don't remember if I said it before, which I think is damning in its own right, both of me and of the game. But I think one of my core problems with the characterization in this game is that none of these people feel like they have internal worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every single character in here does not feel like they're a person. They feel like they go back to their charging dock at the end of the day, and they're robot vacuums, and they just robot around and then do their things and then go back to their docking station to recharge their battery, and there's no deviance from their one character trait, their one function until they go back. Like, that's it.
They're old Disneyland stars or actors or whatever they're called. Where they come out and do their quip, and then they get taken to the back rooms so they can take off their mascot head and cool down.
Yeah.
The extent to which every character is just here to prolong the story, and also, like, now that we're here, we can just definitively say that, like, Route A and B were the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, they split so long ago.
Yeah.
And they did nothing with that. Like, Oswin just is here in scenes sometimes. Like, oh, yes, I'm a scientist, blah, 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 blah. And then he, like, maybe bombs the Roswell a little bit. Or maybe talks with you a little bit in a way where that moves no chess pieces whatsoever. So that here, Dom's here, and it's just the same thing as the version of Route B where Dom doesn't die. And we've done that before. Like, maybe going forward it changes a bit, because maybe when, I don't know, maybe fucking Oz is gonna get taken hostage instead of Benson or something.
Yeah.
Ideally, they would not do the hostage plotline at all this time, because that would be even more just writing the same story twice, but slightly moving the pieces, and that's it, and calling them routes, which is rough. But, like, this narrative should have completely diverged days ago into a completely different story, and then, yes, probably the bad guys show up at the same time in the same way, maybe, but the context that they're arriving at should be like that of the context of the mansion that they're coming to should be completely different from the other route, and instead it just functionally is proven to like Oz being alive or dead is just like it barely touches the story. It doesn't matter. Who cares? And that's brutal. That's wild that's the revelation, because even despite everything else, I still held out hope that wouldn't be that way, and it was. I can't believe that because who would do that? Why would you do that? Because even in the basic grammar of how the game is formatted, it screams to you that Oswin being alive or dead is a huge deal that changes the story. Yeah. And instead, it just does the same story, and then it probably just ends differently, and that's it. It's like, what? It's like, oh damn, I guess Tally died in Mass Effect 2, so she's not here in Mass Effect 3. That's the level of impact we're having. Okay. Cool.
But if it's gonna end up in a murder anyway, then what's the point?
What's even the point? I'm just gonna die of cancer.
If we don't have to call in a favor to a buddy of ours to scoot a trial for us, all the better. Make bank off the boss before, but that's nothing to keep him out of jail.
And with that much capital to waste, I doubt he'd even notice the cost. You're making the opposite argument, Oswin. You're making the argument for why he shouldn't care about cleaning things up, because it doesn't affect him financially. But you said it with the word "and," as if you're agreeing with his observation, which is not how grammar works.
That too.
Do you know why he wants the time machine?
You ain't telling me, is it really? You ain't telling me it's really a time machine now.
It's not a time machine. Oswin shot me a sour look before turning back to Dom. I, however, am also curious as to what specifically he wants with what's downstairs. While not a time machine, I'm curious to know what he wants it for.
Hasn't said much. Just said he has some correcting to do.
Correcting?
Getting rid of the old man properly, for starters.
But can't he just, you know...
Roswell made a pistol gesture with his hand, pretending to shoot Orlando. Why?
Now we're gonna learn that nothing can kill dragons, you know?
Why would you point the gun at Orlando? Like, it's like traumatic for him. He does get shot in a bunch of the timelines, which you might have seen before. It's fucked up.
Guess not.
I'm at a loss at what that small-minded dragon is thinking then, but I'll have no part in it. What about the deal, though? Dave, there's been no deal struck that isn't just a ploy to delay the inevitable.
Could sweeten the deal if you like.
What do you have in mind?
Can tell you how we got under the mountain if you want. Give you a head start while the boss makes a go of the thing downstairs. We already had this conversation.
Yep. You can go home.
I don't know why it's acting like it's not. Okay,
Counter
it did
offer.
let us skip.
Memphis, I just was pressing A bunch.
Gotcha.
Memphis can't get the machine working without me, and it being a time machine or not. With it being a time machine or not. So an exchange is what I'll offer, at the very least, in good faith. They're gonna trade... Yeah, they're gonna trade Oswin instead of Benson, the exact thing I guessed. Cool. So among other things, this is reinforcing the idea that the fucking... Part of the reason why the narrative makes so little sense in Route B is because fucking Thanatos is just recreating Route A without Oswin.
Yep.
So Oswin's dead, so he tranks Benson, and then we trade Benson. but it's done with against his will, so it's also a giant disaster. That also means that day 22 is the one that we're last we're at. We just spent the entire day talking about what we do, and then none of them actually even culminate in the plan that happened, so it was a waste of time. So that'll be fun to see what they do this time again. I might be pressing A a lot soon. Me plus one other shall go. What are you playing at? I shall go as collateral. In addition, one of the others will come along so that they can be shown what this other method of the mountain is, but it's the same fucking plan again, but with Memphis. Or with Oswin. It's just the same plot again. They just did it again.
I just find it fucking exhausting.
Gonna grab the 2 picks, so it's gonna be Roswell and Oz again. Enough for some extra time.
We had this conversation before as well.
Let's see.
Yeah, he says he has his key.
I have your key to the armory?
I think so.
Do you have the key too?
Remember he like bit his key in half?
Oh yeah. I don't know. I'd ask if I wanted it. This time he doesn't knock out Benson. Why'd you lie to Benson? But he doesn't have the key.
About the key, so I could find out where it was.
So he wants to Benson to check on where the key is, and then he's gonna follow him.
Gotcha. It was just a ploy.
A ploy. You didn't already know?
I had a hunch, but again, it comes down to some random variance. Me asking achieves something entirely else.
And that something else is?
He knows what I'm capable of. Now he'll be on guard for the rest of this cycle.
Which is good?
Bad, actually.
The look I gave him was a mixture of confusion and disgust, but he just laughed it off.
Just things to think about, you know? Just things that I have in my head. I've got all these ideas about this story, and none of them are good. You know?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You know? It's just one of those moments, you know?
The idea that Benson didn't think yet that Thanatos knew where the key was, when he seemingly would know that Thanatos has been in infinite, like, timelines parallel to each other, where he could learn that. Like, I would just assume he knows everything, basically.
It's for me to work with, don't worry.
I'm gonna worry more if you tell me not to.
You have more important things to concern yourself over.
Right. 2 days until Oswin and Roswell get taken by Dom to who knows where.
Are you gonna let that happen?
Should I?
You ever just wonder about people? You ever just wonder about if they're okay? Because it doesn't seem like Dave's okay. No. I think about him sometimes. You know what I mean?
About Dave.
And he says the stupidest things, and you just have to think that he's a real person. You know, he's a real human out there struggling. Sorry, Dave. Sorry that this is your life now. Right.
I probably made this comparison before, but it's like, I think about how like Dan Olsen praises the 50 Shades of Grey adaptation of the first movie and how much it's improved from the book simply because you can't hear what the protagonist is thinking.
Yep. It just sucks. It just sucks so hard.
Double crap. Me and my 2 left feet.
That I shall leave up to you. You have 2 days to prepare for the worst, but for now, it's best you go and check in with the others.
What did you do?
Nothing. Sal and Haas are just looking for you.
Well, guess we don't have to go anywhere.
There you are.
The moment the back door opened, Thanatos made a break for it and scurried inside.
Were we meant to stop him?
No, it's fine, I guess.
What happened?
Dom just left. We have our deal set now.
We do.
They talk about anything different?
I don't think so. I'm getting frustrated because we're just hitting a bunch of scenes that are the same scenes we already had, but for whatever reason, they're not marked as new scenes.
They're just slightly rephrased because Oswin's alive, basically.
Yeah.
The whole mob crew shows up in a couple of days.
Yep, this is just them
Ever
talking
fired a
about
gun
having not
before?
firing a gun, suddenly being out of food. This is where we went off on like, what do you mean we're out of food? How much food have they been eating? We were just told they have a month's worth of food. Now they're talking about what bad vacation. Roswell said he wanted to forage, didn't he? Didn't he say that was something that we could possibly do? I don't remember. And
There was various plans.
yeah,
Oswin. He didn't look up, continuing to type away at his computer, all the way up until I closed the door behind me. I was wondering when you'd come by, Dave. Oswin, what happened today? Did you know that was going to happen? Why would you volunteer yourself? Why would you volunteer Roswell so readily? I stepped forward up to the desk and just swiveled around to look at me. And he just swiveled around to look at me. Which question did you want me to answer first? Any, not every day you get to talk to someone like that. Not every day you find out you're about to make what sounds like a hostage exchange either. He's saying this like it's a novelty. Like that's usually what people mean when you say that. He grunted, looking me over. Do you feel I handled that poorly? I don't know. I've never had to negotiate like that before. I had a feeling that this might happen, and I took the path that seemed to benefit us best. By sacrificing yourself? Make no mistake, I've been alone in a room with Memphis before. Chances are, of everyone present, I am the most likely to survive a close encounter with him. Plus, the vault offers me some level of protection from the other two at the very least. And Roswell was just because of how long he's got left? In part. Roswell is deceptively slippery, so should the need arise, he may have the best chance of slipping away. When did you have the chance to observe that? How do you observe that of somebody who does not regularly need to be slippery? Like, I don't understand how you know that about somebody's character traits. Granted, slipping away in the mortal sense is also in the cards, and he offers the least to lose should that happen. Once again, this plan makes no sense because you're hinging the entire plan on this person surviving to share the information, and you're picking the person who is going to die the soonest. And be like, well, if he dies, then at least we didn't lose him, or we didn't lose much. And it's like, you're losing the entire plan because he's supposed to have the information.
yeah.
And you're fine with that? Does it matter? We hardly have other options. He stood slowly, wandering over to a shelf and starting to look over it, as if searching for something. I still don't understand why Benson and Oswin are both not forward-facing, when almost every other character is, including the bear. That's very strange. As for your other questions, only what you knew. That we were going to have a visitor. Thanatos was fairly quiet about the specifics. And you stopped Benson from firing his gun. Yes, a relatively easy thing to accomplish, all things considered. I ask, he obeys. Yeah, I don't know why you said it that way. Because he's loyal to you. Why are we explaining this? You could also call it love. What if it was Jack or Memphis? It was a gamble I was willing to take. I hardly had a say in the matter anyway. Dominic would have shown up regardless, and in hindsight, listening to the rat paid off. There's no sense in worrying about the alternative. I hardly had a say in the matter. You literally had a say. You're the one who said, and that caused it to happen.
I am the one who says.
It's so nonsensical. You can't say in hindsight listening to the rat paid off as evidence of why you had no say in the matter. You literally had say in the matter. You needed to say it, otherwise he would have shot him, and then we get the ending where Tom's dead. You had literally the only say. You were the one person. God damn it. Just words mean things, and the characters never know what they're saying. And in 2 days, you're just gonna go? In 2 days, I will take Roswell with me, and we shall go meet with Memphis. Ideally, Roswell will come back to deliver the news so as to what the escape route is. and I shall remain there to ensure Memphis doesn't hunt you all down. Is there... What I mean is, would Memphis kill me? It's possible. And you're just okay with that? You keep saying this, Dave. You know, more than okay. He retrieved something from between two books and looked at it. The briefest smile crossing his face. What is that? Just a photo. He placed it in an envelope and sealed it, placing it into his pocket. A photo of who? For who? Even given you just sealed it up. It's another gamble. I feel I'm on a winning streak at the moment. Sounds like you've been hanging out with Roswell too much, who's defeating you. Maybe I have. That boy sure does like his risky gambits, I will admit. What? Is that a trait of Roswell's? Name 3 risky gambits. You think you're a real Roswell fan? Name 3. I dare you. So, what's your plan for the next couple of days? If you're just going to go willingly, then I don't know. Oh, that's a question. I have no clue. None at all. Getting you off the mountain is my primary concern. Choosing to arm myself and alike doesn't give me more insurance that you'll make it out alive. Your mission was the entire time to get us to the mountain, then why didn't you just tell us all to leave? Why are we on the mountain then, if your plan is for us to leave? I'm worried that I'm being too hopeful underneath all the nerves and worries that this is all just a big trap. To be expected. Did you have any more questions? Not really, but I don't know. Have you heard anything about, like, seeing things without the vault? You know, as if you didn't need to use a password? Or having Thanatos do his thing to knock you out? That's definitely another question, Dave. It seems like a big important thing to have brought up, yeah. I only asked half-heartedly, but I could see how he immediately tensed up. What? Has this been happening to you? I'm not sure. He moved quickly, ushering me into a chair and ducking into the side room. He was only gone a few seconds before he dropped down in another chair and started examining my eyes. Am I sick? I don't know yet. I'd rather not take the chance. This seems a little overboard, don't you think? Being able to use the vault without actually using the vault is something that Florenica and I had theorized upon.
You keep calling her Florenica. I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, out of spite.
Okay.
What does it mean? Also, somebody went into the code of the game and found out that Florenica's name is always question mark, question mark, question mark. So every time that shows up as being her name, because it's always referring to a question mark name, it has to be manually entered. So
I don't understand
so in
how
particular,
that...
apparently every Route B ending has a misspelled version of her name because it was copy-pasted or something.
Gotcha.
So I was right. I was just right about how it happened, even.
That's great.
But I don't know why. I don't know why her name would be question mark in the files anyway. That seems
probably because she was
unnecessary.
first introduced as a question mark, and then like in an early build, and then it never moved forward from there. And he just kept that as the name
such a pain in
tag.
the ass.
Yeah.
Like maybe at some point in development, you thought didn't want like the audience to be able to like identify who the question mark character was early or something, as if the name would mean anything to them because it's contextless. But I'm like, I figure if you're making a game like this, you just make a question mark character as a catch-all for whenever someone's not identified, and not actually stick to that being the character you're referring to in the files every time when they probably didn't even have a sprite as a question mark. I don't know.
My soul fucking hurts. You ever think about that? You ever think about the wounds we're
like
placing
in that trailer
on
we
our
watched
own?
earlier where that she ripped out the guy's soul and punched it.
I honestly, Password has overwritten the podcast for me, and I already forgot what trailer you're talking about.
That's fine.
I'm sad right now.
I think it was like Unknown 9 or something. Patient 9, District 9.
Oh, yeah, I have no idea.
It had the number 9 in it. I thought it's one of the 4 games we saw today that I thought looked like Remnant.
Oh, yeah, that is okay.
Like
I remember which one you're talking about now. I'm currently browsing the Steam Anthro Festival to look at other games with furries that I could be playing rather than password.
Anthro Festival? What does that mean?
The Anthro Festival is going on. You know how like every once in a while you'll log into the Steam front page store and it's like, look at the Indie Games Fest. Here's 400 indie games that are on sale. It's that, but for games about furries.
And they knew to put it in Pride Month.
Yes. Literally, yes. The 2024 Anthro Games Festival, 6/6 to 6/10. It's going on for one more day.
I didn't know this was happening.
Yeah, go look at, maybe you should look at the Steam front page. Keith?
I don't like shopping.
Yeah. Well, this is a good time to shop. All I'm saying is I'm just wistfully, I feel like I'm looking out the window and on like a rainy day, like looking out at what could be. And then every once in a while I look over at the screen next to the one I'm looking at and there's password on it and I get sad. And it's just what is going on.
I'll doom scroll for you.
That's what I'm doing. I'm doom scrolling the Steam store and looking at some sick deals.
I don't think that's what doom scrolling is.
It is. It is now because it's doom for my wallet as I look at furry games I could be paying for.
This game costs 0.6 fursuits. It means that either the experiment is going very well or horribly wrong, and there's no way to tell. Meaning, I'm not going to die, am I? I mean, in most timelines. No, Dave, you're not going to die. I guess you don't die in most timelines. He sat back, setting aside the...
It is funny. It is funny to think about how Dave actually doesn't die in most timelines.
And just has to live it out.
And just has to live it out, a really boring existence from there on out.
Just a very confusing month that didn't resolve narratively at all. just happened to him, and then he just lives on being sad.
That is funny.
Remember the Dave that walks around with a broken Thanatos in his pocket?
Yes, I do remember this, and that's very silly.
That's described as being very heavy. So you just imagine how much it's like weighing down his jacket. Like, it's less he has a little rat in his pocket, which is already upsetting, but more like he has an entire bicycle pump in his pocket, and his entire fucking sweatshirt is just fucking just straight down, and there's an invisible heavy lump because they keep reinforcing how heavy Thanatos is. It's extremely funny visual. It just doesn't it makes no sense that he's just walking around. It at least has to be in like a fucking shoulder bag. It can't be in his pocket. It doesn't work. Thanatos can't just be in your pocket.
It's just one of those things, you know, you think about it and you're like, someone put time into this.
I didn't need to think Thanatos was heavy. They just keep telling us that. I would have accepted he was a vaguely rat-weighted cyborg, but they needed him to be heavy for some reason, so that Dean can and only selectively realize he's a robot in one route.
Yeah.
That's why it always feels like you said, like he's caught in a lie, and he keeps making up the next excuse. He keeps making up another excuse and another like quick patch for the last thing that came up, and not like thinking through the long-term ramifications of it. So it's just like a ramshackle nightmare.
Thinking about this has like actively, it's giving me an aneurysm. Like I can feel the veins in my brain about to burst. So yeah.
He sat back, setting aside the few things he used to examine me with, and breathing through his nose. Morphic resonance, in theory anyway, is just recalling of survival instinct, remember? Right? From past life with the vault or whatever, right? God damn it, why is the sentence that way? Very good. Now, let's say that you were able to do this at will, rather than when you were in danger. Or the receptors in your brain that fire off stress went off. That sounds like a thing that, if I said what that thing was, you'd get annoyed at me. You're right. It does sound like that, and I assure you that it can't happen. It's not how it happens. It's not meant to be how it happens. But are you positive what you've experienced were visions and memories, and not just hallucinations? I don't know yet.
I cannot stand this man. It is incredible that we're still questioning the logic of the premise itself.
Yup. Thanatos seemed to think that what I experienced wasn't nearly traumatic enough, so it doesn't line up. In a way, I'm relieved, if curious. About what? All I can say is that it was the strangest dream I'd had in a while. Strange in what way? The thing I said already? About how it was that? Remember? The reason that it's noteworthy enough that we're talking about it?
I'm losing my mind because he's doing this thing again where he goes, isn't it weird how this principle works this way when you extrapolate it out? And then Dave goes, yeah, it's weird when it does that. What's your thought? And then instead of responding in kind, Oswin just goes, what do you mean it's weird? And it's like, you're the one who brought it up, idiot. What are you talking about? What do you mean, strange in what way? You're the one who said it was strange.
Strange in the way where I felt like I wasn't controlling my own body, but I was there looking out of the same set of eyes, like a dream.
It's just weird because Oswin speaks the way that I think Grizz thinks therapists talk like. Where it's like, Dave, you have been put into a very sad situation.
How does that make therapy?
And then, he's like, Dave, you've been put into a strange situation. How does that make you feel? It makes me feel kind of weird. And how does that make you feel? Like, he's just constantly prompting the same fucking discourse that he's already prompted. I don't get it.
I mean, not inaccurate to my experience. It was my one session of therapy so far where it felt like they were just prompting me to talk a lot, and then nothing happened. And
you will always get prompted to speak in therapy, but it is just weird in this context. It felt
like they were just prompting me to ramble, and then nothing had any direction to it, and then I was just sent home with no sense that we'd done anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know about this. We'll see. That probably doesn't seem the most effective that it's like a month apart each time too. So I'm like just waiting to find out if there's a point to any of this.
I don't know, man.
Not a fan so far.
This is weird. It's just a weird. Password's so weird.
Understand that there isn't any readily available resources we can pull from this to figure this out. The idea that your survival instinct transcends time and space is already considered pseudo-science. Seems like science enough to me, given it's worked so far. Indeed. This is not what science means. We sat like that for a little while before Oswin started to fidget. I'm annoyed at him agreeing with Dave when Dave was like, I experienced it, so it seems like science. I'm like, what do you think the word science means, Dave? That's not what it means. What is it? Nerves, mostly. Don't worry about it. That's literally the line people say that causes more worry to happen. I've been resolved that my life has been in a constant flux between if I'm actually alive or dead for a while, or at least ever since things fell apart. What? You seem pretty alive to me. Living and being alive aren't the same. A big part of me gave up the day Reginald died. I thought it would have been the day the medical trial went wrong. It was the same day. A coup de grace after watching so many die by my hand, failing to find an answer to Reginald's condition in a time was fitting punishment enough, I feel. No, I don't think that the parents of all the dead children would agree that you also losing one sibling that you were killing them all for was enough punishment. Sorry, bud. I don't think you get off that easy. But good to see that someone doesn't beat themselves up as much as Tyson does, I guess. Fucking... that really wasn't a great day for you, was it? Dave would sound smarter if he didn't talk.
Yes.
So many things went wrong that day. My masterpiece of a vaccine failed. Reginald died.
I want you to know, buddy, that your vaccine, if it failed, it isn't a masterpiece. I'm sorry to tell you this.
Yeah.
I know that's very shocking.
You don't get to call it a masterpiece when it's a hypothetical that you wished you could have made. You actually make a panacea, now it's a masterpiece. If you don't, then it's just a liquid.
Trash for the garbage?
Yeah. It's an expensive liquid in a tube.
Okay, well...
Florenica? Oswin's face scrunched up briefly. It was hard to tell if he was upset or tired, but his tone shifted to be softer in a sense. It was an eventful day for my family. What happened to Florenica? Outside losing her brother, along with seeing me crumple, she came out to us relatively unscathed. Though, come on, you can't just keep trailing off like that. Let me gather my thoughts, boy. I do wonder how she's faring now, if she knows about what's going on here or not. I'd say you could call and check, but, well, we're still under the jammer, right? 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago she was here, and as luck would have it, you just missed her when you lot arrived on the bus. And she just left? Presumably. I don't think she'll be around after Thanatos seemed to imply as much. Why is it that every time his name comes up, I'm wondering whether or not we can't trust him? Trust that you can't trust him. At least that'll work out safer than believing everything he says. You don't think completely trusting him is a good idea? Of course not. He knows things that no person should have a right to know. To that end, it's hard to really know how far you can trust him. We're just playthings after all. I don't like the sound of being just a plaything. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for your input. Lucky for you, he seems to have taken a liking to you. Or perhaps you're also just his current favorite toy. Sometimes I wish he'd leave me alone. Other times I'm thankful that he's at least giving me something to keep my friends alive.
Could always stop if you want.
I don't know how long he'd been there, but he stepped out from the shadows on top of the desk.
What have you two been talking about?
Nothing? Well, nothing important anyway. Just the fate of the entire world. Or this every existing character in the setting, at least. What do you want, Thanatos?
I'm bored.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool narrative you got here.
Thanks, dude.
Did you want to play a game? Go entertain him, will you, Dave? I shall focus on getting this done. What is whatever that is anyway?
Don't bother brushing him off. I'll just tell him if you don't.
Fine. It's my will. I'm making a few adjustments is all.
This is not a weird thing to do in a situation where you have been told that you may literally die in the next few days. I did just want to put that up there.
It's super normal and uninteresting. It's probably rewriting it to have Roswell in the name.
Probably.
When you die? That sort? That sort, yes. If you don't mind me asking, if you die, what should we do? Survive.
Okay.
Everything I
Thank
own,
you for your
everything
advice.
that I was, I'm leaving to one person anyway. There's no need to concern yourself over anything else. If I have it my way, it'll be a clean transfer. Actually, who is he leaving it to? Because it doesn't make sense to leave it to Roswell because he'll be dead soon.
My guess is that he's leaving it to Roswell.
You should probably leave us to a second person after Roswell if that doesn't work out.
I think he's going to leave it to Roswell.
Because Roswell has no surviving
I love
error.
Dave's question. Is it me?
Is it me?
Shut up, you idiot. Shut up.
There's reasons why... There are structural narrative reasons why you would suspect it's Dave.
Yeah.
There are not reasons why Dave would suspect it's Dave.
Yes.
Because he doesn't understand the story he's in, and narrative can
It's not you.
No need. You need to worry You need not worry yourself over it. Benson shall be the one to ensure that everything that needs to happen does. You should probably leave it to Benson. And if Benson dies too?
Florencia will, no.
That's correct.
Come on, Junior. He's not going to be of any more use to you. Besides, like I said, I'm bored. Okay.
I'm bored. 2 days before the climax, the final confrontation, the entire narrative, everyone's just sitting around being bored. All right, fine. We left Oswin to his work, and Thanatos guided me through the passage until we came out the other side. I didn't know what sort of game Thanatos wanted to play, but something told me I wasn't going to like it. Gonna knock you out. Last time, like we did in the lab. No hurting me? Vision. I flexed my fingers and reached out to a mass of small things woven through a piece of string. As I turned the makeshift friendship bracelet in my hand, I sighed again, this time in relief. Tyson's room. I was in Tyson's room. Or maybe it was closer to our room now. We're gonna get married and we're gonna elope in this room at somebody else's house.
It makes me hate these characters. I just hate them.
Imagine the alternate timeline where we just kept playing socially awkward instead of password.
I am made nauseous by this idea.
I made a tweet about like just that seemed quaint in retrospect. It was so long ago.
It does feel quaint in retrospect. However, that was frustrating and bad in a very different way.
Yeah, but it moved fast.
It moved fast, which is true. That is a fact of the situation.
It was in fact a lot.
Yeah. Okay, well, my life is a life of pain, so we're here either way.
If anything, the most distressing thing wasn't being able to smell anything other than blood, rather than that familial scent that I associated with him was having a stroke.
Yeah.
Given I was surrounded by things he touched. If anything, the most distressing thing wasn't being able to smell anything other than blood. First of all, should have been wasn't not being able to smell anything but blood, because all you can smell is blood is the premise of this. Okay. Rather than that familial scent that I associated with him, given I was surrounded by things he touched. I give up. I'm moving on. I get what they're going for, but what a sentence. How did I end up here? Was I even still in the same timeline? Were there other timelines? Dave. As I sat up with a groan, my eyes slowly went towards the door to the room. The faint creak of it hinted that someone was on the other side, and a moment later it opened. Ty? Upon seeing me conscious, he ducked his head out of the room before snapping the door shut. Then he marched over to the bed and dropped himself down to look at me. Did he tell someone we're awake or something? It was phrased oddly enough that I thought he left until it said he was coming to us. What did the rat do to you? Huh? What? Found you passed out downstairs after he told me where you were. Oh, vault things? Bullshit. No, it's kind of true. I don't really know what happened. We were talking and then that was it? Tyson grumbled, but he seemed satisfied that I wasn't lying to him. I could tell from the wrinkle in his nose he was just worried, though. I'll be okay. Have you seen your face? What's wrong with my face? What happened to it? You're covered in your own blood, Dave. I am? Yeah, the blood you said you fucking... Yeah, probably landed on your nose or something, but outside of it, I can't see anything wrong with you. Sorry, I dragged you in here and I didn't think to do anything about it. Just left you covered in blood when there's a bathroom right there and towels that I could have used. Maybe I'm not a good boyfriend, actually. Oh, well, that's good, I guess. Brought you something to eat. You've been out for a while. How long? It didn't seem like I was out that long. Not that you'd have any way of knowing, but you missed dinner. Oh. Don't worry, I grabbed you something just in case. He handed over a foil-wrapped bundle and I gingerly took it while trying not to breathe in through my nose. Where's Thanatos? Fuck if I know. You hungry or want a shower or what? Ty, Can we talk about something? What? About what happened today. What do you think of all that? Wasn't Ty just like not here? Look, there isn't anything else I can say that I didn't already. I want you safe. I want to take you home. If I could have dragged you down the mountain myself, but the road out. Not to mention leaving everyone else behind. A weird implication there's no apparent reason to include in that bundle. If I'm being honest, I don't care. If you're safe and we get out, then I'm happy. Although, if we can get Haas out too, that'd be a bonus. None of the others? I know you want everyone safe, but if push comes to shove, I'm picking only who I care about. Anyone else is a bonus. Right. You don't have to say it, I know. In 2 days, we're just going to go through a repeat of this all again, aren't we? Is there anything I can do? I don't think there's anything else any of us can do. I love these characters and the story and their agency and the narrative. It's now just a waiting game. Hope things turn out and we can get out, right? Right. I handed him the food he'd brought me and I struggled out of bed. I'm gonna have a shower first. As I stepped away, Ty grabbed my wrist and held tight. Listen. I love you, yeah? I love you too, Ty. When I'm done, can we just cuddle, I guess?
God, it's so exhausting.
And I'm doing all the work.
God, it's so exhausting.
I was exhausted. Sore. And after I'd eaten, more sleepy than I'd given myself credit for. Part of me was half expecting that he'd ask to do something more, and I sure as hell could feel it. Would explain why he spent a while in the bathroom after a while, and returned just as sleepy as I was, just as boxers. Man, I sure worked up a sweat in there. Anyway, bye. Night, hun. It was not long after that I passed out again. This time, though, hopefully it'd be a dreamless sleep. Yay! I celebrate every time this comes up.
So ready for this to stop being
the dream, Dom, the talk, Oswin's deal, the fact that we were on a 2-day timer until we'd be seeing Dom again, just with Oswin and Roswell leaving, one of which not coming back. Cool. Tyson sprawled out on his back, leg twitching every now and then. He seemed to be having a nice dream with a slight smile on his face. Ty? I saw his face scrunched up briefly as I whispered his name a second time, but soon enough he had that gentle smile on his face again, hinting he was still asleep. Seeing him smile brought one to my face too. Even with things going on, he was able to smile. I find something happy about, even in his dreams. I wondered what he was dreaming about, but I was sure I would find out later. It's weird to frame it this way, like, wow, he's still optimistic. I'm like, he's not conscious, Dave. He's on a different planet. This is not really, dreams are not always indicative of your current mood or outlook. As I dressed, I looked out the window, part of me wondering if I was going to catch Dom or even Jack sneaking up to the house the longer I stared. But it was just green, no pale white or ashy gray lingering out of the place. I looked over to Tyson, who had sprawled out further across the bed, and I wandered over to lightly kiss the side of his muzzle. Dave? He reached out for me sleepily, and was happy placing his hand on my face. Not that he said anything more than just that. His hand fell away near immediately, and he resumed snoring. I left Tyson there to sleep, not wanting to bother him if he was finding some happiness with whatever was going on. I'm just flubbing every line at this point because the sentences are strange.
Yeah.
From what I could see, Dean was outside near the back door with a mug of coffee. I would have said hello, but the prospect of coffee was too strong. Just fucking power move, just go in there and drink his. Make eye contact the whole time. Tomorrow at some point, Roswell and Oswin, blah blah blah. We had a vision of the mill for a second there. Why do you mess with Oswin so much? Like, if he's not your master, then why do, I guess, any of the things you do to him?
It's fun.
This is my Joker moment. I get that, but there's no other reason. It's just fun and that's it.
It keeps the boredom at bay.
That's the
Also,
same
if he's so
reason.
proud of being the smartest one in the room, he could stand to be humbled. Sure, dude. Whatever.
Uh-huh.
Whatever
Unlike
you say,
you,
man.
who never acts like that. Is he really the smartest one here?
Well, it's for sure not you, Junior.
Roswell's pretty smart. How about him? God damn it, Dave. Stop thinking and talking.
It would be cool if Dave
It's
just
hard to
stopped
say. It's hard to say if
existing.
the scientist is smarter than the 17-year-old.
It's hard to say. Those two in the same room is interesting to watch without me needing to do anything, so I just sit back and enjoy the show.
After all, you need a very high IQ to enjoy anime.
God, shut up. Just stop.
Anyone else compare or?
What?
Sal, perhaps. Again, it's hard to say, though. For that one, it's because he doesn't say much to me. Sal, I want you to know, as someone who has done Sal's route, Sal
is
is the
not.
least interesting person. In fact, nothing is going on behind that man's eyes.
He is not threatening to be smart.
The only thing that makes Sal interesting is the amount of lead paint chips and poorly lead-seached pipe water he has drank in his life to just dull himself to the world.
Fair enough.
Sal exists simultaneously with absolutely no awareness of his place in the world or how he interacts with it, and with the fact that he is just the most unhinged expository element in the game.
He just has random violent outbursts based on social interactions that he seems to then also not understand. It's just a lot.
My turn. Why do you want to know?
You already know. Otherwise, you wouldn't be asking, right?
After catching me off guard with your recollection of the Leo medal, best to double check everything.
We still don't know who your master is, so any clue might help. Thanatos nodded slowly, holding my gaze.
Stop, you're touching the book now.
Brrrr. I stared closer at the photo, rubbing my thumb over the glossy print. Why was this left here? Who was it left for? Surely not me, right? This goofy little pigpen man. Oh! Looking at the writing on the back, I was left with even more questions, though at the very least who had written it was least obvious. Remember what is most important, Oz? Flora.
Isn't it fun how there are characters in this game that have 27 nicknames, including the character that had her name misspelled in the actual text of the game?
Yeah. Flora, like a flower. Flower signature.
Remember what's most important. This picture of a flower. My name means flower. I'm talking about myself, Oswin.
Flora. Huh.
That'd be Florencia, or at least what Oswin and Reginald called her.
That's a weird sentence to say.
Yeah.
We got it, bud. Makes sense given the photo, I guess. Why did... Stop. Stop acting like you're Sherlock Holmes deducing basic facts that are readily apparent in front of you. You don't need to narrate all of this. These are thoughts that I wouldn't even think to narrate as a Let's Player. And I just fill time half the time.